We all remember the Mandalorian Season 2 finale where Luke Skywalker returned and broke the absolute internet. So many people were emotional and loving that scene in particular where our boy returned, especially after seeing him just so different in The Last Jedi. I know my face was trending on Twitter for quite a while. It caused quite a stir. And I'm happy to say that I got a new Twitter now, at RealSWTheory, so make sure to go follow me there because who knows, my face might make the front page once again. So that is the topic of today's video, and Jon Favreau was actually asked about something like that happening again for Season 3, where he goes on to say this. Actually, this is the question. The Mandalorian also has a bit of a reputation now for these big, jaw-dropping moments. I know you're not going to tell me any spoilers, but do you think Season 3 will break the internet again? Which of course means will Luke Skywalker return, or heck, Mace Windu, or someone of massive significance that we thought was either dead, long gone, or not going to show up at all. Jon Favreau goes to say this: I hope that's the goal. The goal is, I don't know about breaking the internet, but the goal is that we have enough things happen each episode that everybody wants to jump around the digital kitchen table and talk about and argue about and guess to what is going to happen next. So the watch parties, Twitter, and I don't mean my watch parties, I mean everybody's watch parties, Twitter, all the engagements on YouTube, comments, forums, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it might be, wherever you're talking about this, or even just in freaking person. But as John said, the digital kitchen table, which is really true, is what we all do. It's just a massive digital kitchen table. So I think the fun part of it is that it's a big conversation and people are excited. And that's part of what you get to do in television that you don't get to do in the movies. With movies, you build up to it, everybody sees it, everybody talks about it, and then they wait. And maybe another one is released a few years later. Here, every week, another one's hitting. I like that we're on Disney Plus, where it's each week is another episode. It's not all dropped at once, so it allows for a back and forth. So I think there's like a good and a bad about that personally, and we're going to continue this in a second. Really, it depends on how it's written and how it's shot. I think it can do a lot of damage in the sense that we've seen a lot of shows where people are kind of just left on a cliffhanger for a very sort of like mid-episode, which has a lot of filler. And I feel like people get really frustrated with that, where they have to wait another week for the continuation of the filler episode. Much like, we get in The Bad Batch, or we get in, some other episodes that have come out with Star Wars. And, this isn't just limited to Star Wars. Every show has this. And I think, that's one of the interesting things about TV versus movies is that, with TV, you're forced to either, make a script that fits X amount of episodes that's contracted by the studio to, fill X amount of commercials, or you are cutting things or adding things in, and it's like, well, or you have your story and it's like, how do I cut this into, 8 episodes, for example, or 10 episodes, or whatever it was, 16 episodes, like The Bad Batch, or, Andor, which was 12. So in part, I kind of like movies in the sense that you go to the theater, you watch it, and you leave, and then there's several years of, theories and build-up, like the sequel trilogy, which had a crazy amount of theories and so much hype built up because we didn't know what was going on. Whereas with TV, I feel like, it's meant to just keep you reeled in, so you keep that subscription going and you keep watching, and the commercials come on and they get paid. And it's kind of a different feel, but I believe if it's done right, like The Mandalorian has been great about that, except for maybe like a couple of episodes, which of course we can deduce to, world building or character development or whatever. But, like the Frog Lady episodes, they don't really need to have that all that much, but whatever. Can always be lightsabers and blasters and stuff like that. But anyways, John goes on to say, and I love to see if we guessed right. I love to see which ones the people react to better. So this is amazing, dude. Like, he's listening, he's watching the fan interaction. He likes to see what the fans think about his episodes, about the show. He likes to see which episodes the fans like more, why, and ultimately get the report card if we're doing our job well. This is a guy that should have led the sequel trilogy, in my opinion, not holding up freaking postcards saying your Snoke theory sucks. I mean, this is a guy that clearly listens to fans, writes his own story the way he wants to write it, don't get me wrong, but at the same time listens to the fans because he is one himself and likes to know how he's doing based on the fan interaction of his episodes and his story. This is a man who is built for success. This is a man who will not fail. Not because he's tailoring everything he does to fan expectations, because sometimes fans don't really know what the hell they want until you give it to them. Or they want stupid things that really don't progress the story and are just realistically fan service at the end of the day, which gets old. But this is a guy that actually is open-minded and is listening to what a lot of us have to say, our reactions to things. That's why I think the internet is so great, because there is such a massive level of information coming in to these executives, to these guys that are creating these movies, that they can learn. What should we change? What should we tweak? And it's really great for the out-of-touch people, not Jon Favreau, but like the people higher up at Disney, or, you know, the board executives at these big companies that really shouldn't have any business in altering any stories. They should just, you know, sit back and count the money as it comes in from the actual creatives, you know, that are like at Pixar, that are writing these stories and animating them, and the directors, you know, at Lucasfilm that are actually making these movies, like Jon Favreau, who knows Star Wars, in my opinion. And leave the storytelling to these guys who are actually able to create these characters the way George Lucas had, and carried along that trajectory that he had them going off of, where the internet gives them a plethora of information regarding, you know, how they're doing. And for guys who are out of touch, like I was saying, you know, it's great because they can kind of, in the end, be successful with whatever franchise they buy. Because as I said, like things like Star Wars, like it's not super easy. It's not like a cookie cutter like, you know, some other franchises that companies buy, where they think they can just, you know, slap it together and, oh, you know, put Star Wars on the logo, it'll be fine. It's really not that easy with this. It's a completely different story. You have to be really intertwined with these characters, with the mythos, the mythology, with the love and the passion for it, and you need to know these characters inside and out. And I think a massive part of that is to grow up with them, to be honest, to have these characters get you out of some sticky situations, some depressing situations in life. And I think that really helps. Otherwise, if you just approach this like it's a job, yeah, you know, sequel trilogy. I think that's kind of what happens, in my opinion at least. But hey, look, I love Jon Favreau. I love Dave Filoni. I think these guys are really the future of Star Wars. And this last sentence here is telling me right there that he actually does give a crap, and he does listen to the fans, and he does put his head down, not in a oh, you know, people are better than me kind of way, but in a very open-minded, very humble way, that he knows he's the shit, but at the same time, he's also listening to get that report card back and to see what people are saying and assess it for himself instead of just blindly following. And to me, that makes for good TV and good movies, especially when you're leading a massive franchise like Star Wars. You know, when the maker is no longer making it anymore. It's now new people. So, will there be a internet breaking scene in The Mandalorian Season 3? Quite possibly. I mean, you know, there could be Thrawn coming in. There could be some other characters. I think Mace Windu would probably break the internet more than maybe even Luke Skywalker returning. I think people would really crap their pants at the sight of that. You know, and then Boba going on his own journey, and then maybe Boba Season 2 would be all about that. That would be pretty sweet, you know? Getting his revenge for his father, Boba. Udatsui. Anyways, this is pretty cool. I really, you know, I highlighted this part at the end here because I think it was just the most important for Jon Favreau to say, and for us to know that he does give a crap. You know, he's not just a your Snoke theory sucks kind of guy. Anyways, let me know what you guys want to see in The Mandalorian Season 3, because he is watching, he is listening to all of us, regardless the size of our platform. He sees every single one of us. Well, maybe not every single one, but he's, you know, the most majority on Twitter and whatever. Hope you guys have a great day. Let me know what stuff you want to see in Season 3, and what your thoughts are going forwards of, you know, executives and directors and writers listening to fans. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you always.